Today, on the Exchange podcast, we are interviewing Mike Cheung. He is an education student at Durham University and the JCR President-elect for Josephine Butler College. The mission of the Exchange podcast is to have thoughtful exchanges with inspiring individuals so that we can learn and grow by exchanging ideas. Mike, I want to thank you for coming onto the podcast. And my first question is, just please tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you for having me. So, what's there to say? I'm from Liverpool. I came to Durham in 2022, originally studying maths and economics, and after 1 year I switched to education. Now I'm in my final year in Durham, and I have just been elected as the next JCR President of my college.
Okay. Did you go to school in Liverpool and did you enjoy the school environment?
Absolutely. I was born and bred in Liverpool. I actually went to the same primary school as John Lennon growing up.
Okay.
And for secondary school, I went to the Bluecoat School, a grammar school in Liverpool.
And did you enjoy the school you went to?
Absolutely. Though my school was perhaps a bit more competitive than other schools. In my school, everyone was worried about their grades. People made fun of me for not being predicted an A-star for maths. That's just the nature of the school. People were very competitive about grades.
That challenging environment with people making fun of you for not being predicted an A-star, how do you think that's developed you and your attitude to studying at university and potentially in the workplace in coming years?
Personally, I think I thrive in competition. When I have other people to compete against, it just means that I work harder to try to gain an advantage. When that happens, I think it was a bit of a wake-up call for me. I knew I wasn't working hard enough, so I immediately started revising a lot more intensely, and in the end, I got an A-star for maths, so quite happy.
Congratulations. A-star for maths is quite a difficult feat. Do you think that, looking back, that the education system is well functioning for students going out into this new era of AI usage in workplace and intelligence being democratized for individuals?
Well, I think I had quite a unique experience of my education in the UK, because when I was doing my GCSEs, COVID happened, so my GCSEs got cancelled, and then my A-levels, they were significantly disrupted because of COVID. So I can't really testify to my experience, the current experience of students today, but with AI, I know what you mean. AI came out in November 2022 with ChatGPT, and it's been impacting education ever since. Never before has it been so easy to produce AI generated content and pass it off as your own, because these LLMs, they are trained to sound natural, and the user interface is so straightforward and intuitive. So yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting time to be a student.
If you were a student back at your secondary school and your sixth form, and you had the usage of AI and large language models, how do you see your work environment being different?
That's a good question. Since A-levels and GCSEs are in-person exams, I don't think I would have used AI tools as much. But no, that's a really difficult question, I think. I probably would have used it for translation when I studied French, and maybe perhaps some writing tasks, but to be honest, I don't think I would have used AI much, even with the current capabilities of today.
And after your sixth form, you came to Durham University.
Indeed.
Why did you come to Durham?
Durham. So funnily enough, my maths teacher, Miss Lunny, she actually went to Durham herself. She was in Hatfield College, if I'm not mistaken, back in 1980 something.
Okay.
So she told me about Durham, and me and another guy in our class, we decided, oh, we should apply for Durham. And yeah, we both ended up coming here. Now he's the JCR Treasurer at John Snow College, whereas I'm the JCR Vice President of my college. Yeah, so it all worked out in the best. Durham, I have no regrets at all about Durham.
If she went to Hatfield College, why did you and your friend end up at Hill Colleges, Josephine Butler and John Snow?
Well, back when she was around, like, my college did not exist. So,
Yes.
obviously that was not an option for her. I've heard the stereotypes of Hatfield College, and it didn't sound too pleasing to me. So I chose a place where I could cook my own meals, because I like having that freedom, and a place where I'd be guaranteed an ensuite. So I ranked all my college choices according to ensuite rooms. So Josephine Butler is number 1, John Snow is number 2, South is number 3.
And when you came to university, did you take the extended break, the gap year beforehand, or did you come straight to Durham from your school?
No, unfortunately, a gap year wasn't an option for me. I'd say my background, my family, they don't really believe in gap years. They'd rather just get the whole education experience over and done with. So I was more than happy and quite prepared to go straight into university after completing my A-levels.
If you could go back and change and maybe go on a gap year, do some work and then travel, would you take up that option?
I don't think so. I think because COVID happened when I was, 16 to 18, those were really big years of, of like a teenager's life. So I feel like I was maybe socially stunted along with the rest of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I would have been as adventurous to go out and travel by myself, or even travel, with a few friends. I don't think I would have liked that. Plus, I was so ready for university. I'd been preparing for my entire life, so I didn't really see a gap year as an option.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you said that you came to Durham University to study maths and economics. Is that right?
That is correct.
Why did you choose to study maths and economics?
Initially, I didn't know what I wanted to study. Maths was always something I was good at. Like, I did maths and further maths, so it was, half of my A-levels.
And you achieved the A-star as well.
Yes. I got an offer for maths and econ at Durham and at LSE, and in the end I decided Durham just because I liked the program more here, and London was just a bit too expensive. No regrets at all, but once I came into Durham, I realised everyone was in it for the money, and perhaps I just didn't have the same drive as them. I would never recommend studying a degree just for the money, and that's for any degree. Like, unfortunately, I just don't think it's a good enough motivator. At least for me, it wasn't. So after a while, I did some soul searching during first year, and I realised what I really enjoyed. So previously, I've worked in schools and as a tutor. I really do enjoy educating people and helping them be the best learner they can be. So after during second term, I believe, I started to think about switching my degree to education. At first, my parents weren't so happy about that. They were the ones who pushed me into maths and economics, but in the end, I won them over, and I just showed them how passionate I was about it, and yeah, I think it's all worked out in my favour.
So you said that your parents pushed you to do the maths and economics, and your side reasoning was, well, it's good prospects financially, and that wasn't a good enough motivation at all.
For me, no. I'd say, well, my parents, they always wanted, their children to do, a STEM kind of degree. Mm-hmm. So that ticked the maths box for sure. And economics was something I'd never studied before, actually. Like, I didn't do economics for A-levels. It was something new for me, but I'd say I probably enjoyed econ more than maths when I was studying, just because I enjoy learning about people, people, their choices, and that whole social side of, you know, of economics. I really, really enjoyed that. So education was a natural switch for me, just because I was interested in just that, the people side of things.
Mm-hmm. And your parents were initially not too happy. How about your friends and other wider family when they found out you're changing?
I'm not too close to my wider family, so they weren't an issue. My friends, that's a good question. I wasn't the only one who switched their degree or dropped out or did something out of the blue. So it was almost like I was just joining the bandwagon. My best mate, who was at Cambridge, he was surprised, very surprised even, but I just sat him down and explained it to him, and he was quite supportive, I think, in the end. Yeah.
You don't regret your decision, clearly.
Absolutely not. No, switching to education was the best choice I've made in Durham so far, and I really look forward to where this takes me in the future.
And if you had to sell the education degree at any university, but I suppose Durham specifically, what would your selling points be to a prospective student?
Well, I'd say that the education degree in Durham gives you a very broad but also detailed overview of what education really is. Like, how would you define education yourself?
I would define education by my experience of it, as in you're being taught math, science, and English, history, these different subjects, and I can assume the studying of education is how to best transfer that knowledge into the knowledge of the person learning the subject. I assume that it's much more complicated than that.
No, I don't think you're wrong, for sure. I think that's one interpretation of what education is meant to be. Nowadays, people do focus a lot on grades and subjects, and that makes sense. That's what we need to thrive in this world. However, I think education has taught me that it is a lot more than that. It's about cultivating the mind and the soul. And education far exceeds subjects and what you learn, the content you learn. I think it's also a lot about your mental health as well. I think it's also about your aspirations. I think it's about what you are drawn to and your talents. Like, it's not just studying for an exam, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, I do understand. Okay. What have you, in every degree, there's aspects that you enjoy more and aspects you enjoy a bit less. What have you really enjoyed so far in your 3 years of doing education?
So I think I've really enjoyed educational research methods.
Okay.
So obviously when, the government develops curricula for, like schools to teach, like this is based on like actual educational research. Mm-hmm. So, research informs everything. It informs policy, it informs curricula, and I've really enjoyed doing field work. So last year I did some educational research on language learning. So I actually sat into a Chinese language learning class, and I did an in-depth study of how the students were learning, and like all the methods that the teacher was employing, whether it was the spatial layout of the classroom, whether it was the specific techniques or activities she was offering, or the relationship between the teachers and the students, right? There was so many things to analyze, and it was really informative when this teacher actually read it and she could clearly see that breakdown of everything that was making her classes a success.
What was this with Durham University?
Or? Yeah, so this was with the Department of Modern Foreign Languages. I have a teacher called Gu Lao Shi.
Gu Lao Shi.
Yes. She allowed me to sit in on some of her classes for stage 1, 2, and 3, and we were just going over how she was teaching her seminars, and we were analysing what she was doing well and where students were not paying attention or not engaging. And from this, we were able to iterate and improve her teaching methods as well. So yes, this educational research, it's really, really interesting. That's probably my favourite part of my degree. The less favourite part of my degree would probably be educational practice. Unfortunately, I do not have unlimited patience, and that's fine. Not everyone does. I don't get me wrong, I love working with children. However, sometimes I know that perhaps I'm not the best person at the job. But obviously it is also important for educators to have a grounded experience of what it is like to work in a classroom context. So, I would never recommend anyone become a policymaker without having spent time working alongside children, actually teaching them. There are so many implications and challenges when it comes to working within the school environment. And unfortunately for me, I just don't think I could spend my life working there in that environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I'd prefer to work more in administration or policy making or curricular developing. That's what I'd prefer to do.
Yes. Your dissertation this year, what was the dissertation about?
So my dissertation, it was a project about AI literacy. So AI literacy has become, a hot topic in the education space, and many educators and policymakers have been developing frameworks to develop AI literacy. So just as we learned digital literacy growing up, like e-safety, digital footprints, that kind of thing, this is now bringing those skills, but in the context of AI. And my job, my dissertation was a thematic analysis of all the frameworks that I could find on several databases. In the end, I yielded about 23 frameworks from my academic search, and my dissertation was an analysis on what common competencies do they have, where are the overlaps, where are the gaps, what are some educators missing, what are the assumptions they are making. And I find that a lot of educators are framing AI literacy from a really operational lens. So it's more, what can we measure, and how can we define AI literacy in those measures?
So you mentioned you had 23 frameworks.
Yes.
What's an example of one of the frameworks?
So one of them was the OECD and the European Commission's joint AI Lit framework. This outlines AI literacy as 4 domains. They are designing, managing, engaging, and what was the last one? Well, it was just doing all these things with AI. And each framework separates AI literacy in a different way. The most common definition of AI literacy would be Long and Magako's 2020 definition, whereas it's AI literacy is a set of competencies to engage and use AI responsibly, and use it, just use AI essentially. That was back in 2020, which was a more very different to what AI is now.
The definition.
Of course, back when Long and Magco were developing that definition,
Yes.
Obviously, OpenAI hadn't released ChatGPT yet,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a sort of rudimentary understanding of what AI literacy could be. However, it has inspired many educators, and so many papers that I went through were basing their ideas on Long and Magaco. So I would say they are definitely a seminal work in this field.
You said that the definition might not be Would you say that the definition has room to change, given it's changed in the past
Absolutely.
6 years?
Many people use different definitions. I can't remember them off by heart.
Of course.
There were so many frameworks to analyze,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation to have. Like obviously back in 2020, the AI that we had back then, it was mostly about optimization and algorithms to recommend things like that. Nowadays, and then 2022, you had OpenAI with the chatbots, and you were able to interact using simple plain English or like simple natural language, talking to the AI bot, and they would spit back an answer at you. And then we had agentic AI, which means that AI has more freedom to do tasks on their own with human oversight, of course. And who knows where AI will go next.
And what was your conclusion, or did you have a conclusion for your dissertation?
So my dissertation was specifically a systematic review. No, a scoping review. That's better. That's a better word. A scoping review. So a scoping review exists to map out a field. It doesn't have a specific question to answer. That's more of a systematic review, but it's to see, what the field is saying right now, where the gaps are, where the overlaps are, what educators are saying, what the implications for educators, that kind of thing. And that's what my whole thing was arguing. And in my conclusion, I did argue that currently frameworks are not analysing AI literacy enough from a sociocultural and a critical lens. People are too focused on measuring AI literacy, which essentially means you're just revising for a test, essentially.
Okay. And so measuring, how would a critical lens be different to that?
So a critical lens would focus more on the power structures and who benefits and who's disadvantaged when it comes to AI. The sociocultural lens that I mentioned, this is more about how AI literacy can be different in different contexts.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in the medical field, if to be AI literate in the medical field would be very different to being AI literate in the legal profession. Wouldn't you agree?
No, that does make sense.
And would you not also agree that in different environments, in different academic environments, like say a British university compared to a Japanese university, there will be different expectations of what is acceptable AI use and different expectations of, what would be appropriate to use AI for.
I suppose even university to university.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if it's Oxford or Cambridge, but they have all the AI systems rolled out for the students, and other universities are still saying, no, you're not allowed to be using this. Durham seems to be transitioning towards allowing the usage.
To my knowledge, Durham has a system where it is essentially don't ask, don't tell. The students do not tell the teachers if they are using it, and the teachers do not ask the students if they are using it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is leading to a really bad academic culture where students can just use AI willy-nilly for all their tasks, especially if they've only got online exams.
As in the 24-hour examination.
Yes, for 24-hour exams or for coursework. It is so easy for students to, bypass these rules because there is no way to check. Even AI detectors nowadays, they are still, not very good, frankly. They disadvantage international students whose first language may not be English. Mm-hmm. They disadvantage neurodivergent people who tend to have similar features when writing, very similar to AI, essentially. So it wouldn't be fair to use these AI detectors to try to catch people out.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I think the education degree, if anyone is curious about it, they should definitely look into it. You've definitely enjoyed it.
For sure.
I want to ask about your internship that you took part in with Mitax in Canada.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that, please?
No, of course. So at the end of my first year, I got an email from this optional module that I did in sports science. The sports science department emailed everyone who did their modules saying, oh, by the way, there's this opportunity for Durham students to go to Canada for summer after second year and do
Wow.
research. So it was a very long process. So you know what, I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, I might as well apply. It's fully funded, paid for by the jointly by the British and the Canadian governments. They pay for flights, accommodation, travel, food, that kind of thing. Just no salary for the work I did. I applied for it, and in November I had my interviews. I had interviews at the University of St. Catherine's, which is near Niagara Falls, and the University of Calgary, which is where I ended up. It was a long process, but it was so worth it. So my project was on AI integration in higher education, specifically within the context of accounting education. So we had a case study, we were analysing that. Unfortunately, I cannot share too many details because I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but it was a really interesting project. I developed my educational research skills, and by the end we were producing a paper that is going to be published in an academic journal.
And once that comes out, you would be able to talk about it.
Yes, definitely.
That's very exciting. What would your time in Canada at the internship, what would your day in the life look like?
So because of the accommodation I was staying in, I didn't have a kitchen, so I had to have breakfast, lunch and dinner on campus every single day. So I was working very long hours on campus. I got to campus about 9 o'clock, had breakfast, then headed to the office at 10 o'clock. My professor was quite lenient since she knew I had to get food before coming into work. I'd work in the office until about 12, 1-ish. I'd go have lunch and then come back. I'd work until about perhaps 7 o'clock just to make up for the lost time, and then go have dinner. And then, go home after that. It was quite a long day. I was spending a lot of time in the office. I was the only person my age in the office as well. The next youngest person was about twice my age.
Wow.
So I didn't make too many friends in my office, but that's okay. I made friends in other departments who were also on the My Tax program. But yeah, I absolutely recommend this program to anyone who's interested in seeing what research might be like, because I think it's a great way to experience the world of academia.
What were the main questions, if you're allowed to answer, what were the main questions you were trying to answer in this research project?
So it was a case study. So we were mostly seeing what worked best and what didn't work, and we were seeing how the students were adapting to using AI within higher education.
Yes.
That's just about as far as I can say, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I'd ask this and then we can move on. How has your usage of AI, as you've researched its usage so much in your internship, for your dissertation, how has your usage of AI changed then, given your unique insight and the different means and methods you learn with your studying?
I'd say that initially, before I'd started doing all this research, I was using AI quite a bit. Sometimes I got lazy. However, once I started to do more research, and when it came time to my, actual end of term summatives, I realized that I wasn't going to learn anything if I used AI to help me. So I'd say my research has made me a lot more, has developed my self-efficacy and, confidence using AI and knowing when and where I should or should not be using it. I'd say I am more responsible than the average Durham student in that way, and I try to be as transparent as possible. I do believe that AI can be useful as an assistant when it comes to referencing or when it comes to articulating yourself, since sometimes I forget a certain word to try to articulate my ideas better. So I think AI can be good at that. However, the ideas should always be your own. and I don't think that's negotiable. Like, whenever you write something, you must make sure that those ideas are your own. And if AI has helped you, you should be transparent if it has impacted your writing or your work significantly.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask about your cycling expeditions. You're an avid cyclist. You have... Tell me about it, please.
Well, I used to be a more avid cyclist.
Used to be,
Absolutely.
you still are.
No. I remember in my first year, I challenged myself. It was a really, really sunny day, so I decided to take a train up to the Scottish border and then cycle back to Durham. I didn't quite make it back to Durham, I made it back to Newcastle, but in that one day I had cycled 162 kilometres,
Crikey.
which is exactly 100 miles. It was a really fun experience seeing the Northumberland coast. It was such a pretty day as well, so I saw all the beaches and castles. But afterwards, I was shattered. I had to crash at my friend's place who studied at the University of Newcastle.
Yes.
That was really fun. Last year, to raise some money for the college, student support fund, me and my few friends, we cycled coast to coast.
Mm-hmm.
So we started in Whitehaven in Cumbria. And
Which is the west coast.
Which is the west coast, exactly, facing the Irish Sea. And we cycled across the country, through the North Pennines, and into Sunderland, and we finished our cycle there. We raised about a few £100. It all went to a good cause. This is to support students who are struggling financially within our college, but it's more to pay for things that are not academic, like train tickets home, Like, we don't want any student to feel like they can't go home for Christmas just because it's too expensive. You know how trains are in the UK.
They are pricey, yes.
Certainly so. You have to book months in advance if you want to get a cheap ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think I was with you when I was buying the Edinburgh train ticket.
Oh, yes.
50 quid just to go up is...
£50 is quite expensive. Very
Yes.
dear for sure. So
Mm-mm.
yeah, this fund was just to help some students,
That's good.
if they needed it. This was actually the Kickstarter project for this fund. It's received a lot more money ever since, but yeah, I'm happy that I was part of that, and I was happy that I could contribute to my college community.
And how many people cycled with you when you did your coast journey?
In terms of the people who actually completed the whole thing, there was 4 of us who completed the whole thing. A 5th person had to drop out midway, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have any beautiful memories from the coast-to-coast cycle, or...
Ooh, well, the first day was not so beautiful. The first day it was raining cats and dogs. We were in the Lake District, and I swear the lake had expanded. Like, it was raining so heavily that we had to stop for a few hours just to dry off a little bit before we caught hypothermia. Mm-hmm. One of the people in our group reckons that if it wasn't raining so heavily in that first day, we could have completed the whole cycle in 2 days rather than 3.
How many kilometers did you cycle per day?
That day, I think we cycled about 85 kilometers that day, but this was going up and down the mountains in the Lake District, so it was a lot more tiring than it should have been.
Did you have a pannier rack, or did you...
No, I stupidly cycled with a backpack. That was not a wise decision, especially considering my bike is also quite heavy. I was using one of the Butler bikes, which is 15 kilograms.
Is that the same bike?
Yes, you remember that bike. Yes, exactly.
If you cycle, just for the audience, this is a very heavy bike. It's not made for cycling.
No, it's not made for cycling long distances.
No.
It's made for commuting, and that's about it. And I stupidly decided to take this bike because my initial bike that I used in first year got stolen.
Yeah, no, that is a pity. How did you feel when you started the journey in Cumbria?
When we started, we were really optimistic, but then we started seeing the grey clouds, and we were cycling towards those grey clouds, so we knew we were in for some trouble.
No.
Day 2 was a lot easier. Day 2, we had to cycle through the North Pennines, which was still very, very hilly, and finished in somewhere in County Durham. It was actually really pretty, that area. I've never been to those places before. So it was nice to see a different part of County Durham. And then the last day, it was a breeze. Like, after we got through the initial hill, it was completely flat the entire way to Sunderland's. I think we managed to get there several hours earlier than expected, and we just ended up having fish and chips on Sunderland Beach.
Oh, that's amazing.
Lovely.
That is so good. Did you get ice cream as well?
I did.
Yes. Did you stay? Did you do wild camping or stay in hotels, Airbnbs?
See, I'm not so good at wild camping. Last time I did wild camping was DFE. I did not enjoy it so much. And especially after a long cycle, I wanted to sleep in an actual bed. So I brought up the possibility of staying in hotels, and the others were more than happy to.
Okay.
Just because we knew it would be long cycles each day, it would be nice to stay on a comfortable bed and have a hot shower.
Did you have to persuade the group, or was it a very simple?
Not at all. I think people were more than happy to go for it, even if it added to the costs. Since it was only 3 nights, like, it didn't add up to too much.
No. I'm curious, long distance cycling, apart from the physical benefits of it, how else has it changed the way you see the world and helped you maybe mentally, or just give a different perspective that there's much more nature around us, etc.?
Well, obviously, cycling everywhere is very different to driving everywhere.
Yes.
And, being on a bike, you can explore so many more places on 2 wheels rather than 4. I find that cycling just gives that freedom. And while it is certainly more tiring than driving, I think that cycling has allowed me to explore County Durham so well. I've been everywhere across County Durham now. And the northeast is beautiful. Like, not enough people actually see the natural beauty in the northeast, and I highly recommend it. Like, if you're in Durham staying for 3 years, like, that's so much time to go explore this county, and there's so many beautiful places to see. I've seen waterfalls, I've seen the world's oldest freestanding arch, I've seen beautiful beaches, I've seen it all.
Perpetual monument.
I've seen that. I've seen a Greek temple, a random Greek temple.
No.
Yeah.
Have you been to Cragside?
Cragside? I've heard of it, but I don't think I've been myself, no.
So, a friend of mine who I interviewed previously, Freddie, the day before I interviewed him, he went up to Cragside and he showed me photos of it. It's an incredible place. When you come back from Liverpool, if I'm still in Durham, we should try and go. I think it would be quite fun.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any other cycling trips planned to close this?
Oh, unfortunately not. I think after that long cycle, I told myself, okay, if I can get through this, that'll be an achievement, but I think after this, I'm retiring from cycling. I haven't done a very long cycle like that ever since. The year before that, I did another coast to coast. I started in Liverpool, my hometown, and cycled to Hull, which is on the other side of England. And that was a super fun cycle. However, it was a disaster on the last day when my bike broke down.
No.
And then me and my friend Pasha, we ended up having to walk 14 miles after cycling 120 kilometers that day.
Mm-mm.
In the middle of the night, we got to Hull about 4 a.m. and we were absolutely knackered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
those days are behind me. Those days are behind me.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you some questions about the Josephine Butler College, and you've been very involved throughout the years. You became the Junior Common Room International Officer in 2024?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
So, let's see. Some of my best friends I met through International Committee, and I really wanted to give back. During the previous year in 2023, the International Officer had, I wouldn't say lazy. I wouldn't say they were lazy, but unfortunately, the standard that I had become accustomed to was no longer there, and I felt a duty to try to revive the international committee because in 2023 it was unfortunately, quite bluntly, dead.
Well,
So
yes,
in
it
2024,
fluctuates.
I took over the international committee, and over the course of 1 year, I ran about 25 events. I think that was unprecedented for the international committee and unprecedented in college in general. For this, I was recognised by the college and received my full colours for my services to the college.
Well deserved.
Yeah, no, people have really appreciated it, and from that, the international committee was revived, and people started to get involved again. I had a really good time, and from that, the vice principal, Harriet, she encouraged me to think about running for presidents, JCR president myself, and I'd never thought about it before. No international officer had ever become president before. It was usually either a vice president or a welfare officer or a publicity officer, but never an international officer. So, I was the first one who was even thinking about running. It was difficult, and in order to stay in the exec, I didn't want to do international officer another year. It was very difficult and very demanding. So I decided to go for vice president instead, which surprisingly doesn't have as much to do as the international officer.
I assume, though, you set the standard of international officer quite high.
For sure. My successor, I mean, he struggled to continue this high volume of events every single week. So, while he didn't do as many events, he focused more on quality than quantity, and he developed several high quality events, including Diwali and Chinese New Year, and Loy Krathong, which was a new festival we had this year, which is a traditional Thai festival.
Okay. Do you have any fond memories from the time as international officer?
Absolutely. I think my most fond experience was International Arrivals Week. So international students, they come a week earlier than the British students just to help them, settle into Durham and have their orientation and everything. I had so much fun organising that. And while I was shattered every single day, I was working about 12 hours a day, consistently for 5 days. It was very tiring, but you know what? I enjoyed it so much. I met such interesting people from around the world. And for people who just come to university from people from England especially, and from the UK, I say you're coming to Durham and you get a chance to meet people from all around the world. So why don't you try to get involved in these international things and experience new cultures, meet new things, learn new things, and just get involved.
So you alluded to that, to becoming JCR president a second ago.
Yes.
And so that site started during your time as international officer. So, and your springboard to that was being vice president this year.
I wouldn't say a springboard. I just thought it was a natural step in order to understand the workings of the JCR.
Okay.
So, being vice president, I was in charge and I oversaw all the JCR committees, which we have many. And while some committees are more active than others, it was super interesting to see how they all work, how they function, and it was very informative for me to understand how the JCR works and if being JCR president was for me.
Yes. Were there any responsibilities that you took on as vice president that you didn't expect to?
No, not really. I think in other colleges, the vice president actually organises all the formals, whereas our vice president only does college families and works on engagement with sports societies and committees. So, nothing out of the blue. I say the role is what you make of it. I look forward to seeing what my successor has to do with it. Alex, she is the current vice president of the GCR, and she will be my vice president. I'm curious to see if she follows in my footsteps and tries to get involved in everything I did. or if she wants to take a more hands-off approach. Either way, I'm happy. I think I achieved a lot in my first year as JCR Vice President, and I reintroduced college marriages as well.
The college families?
No, college marriages. So it's
Okay.
quite separate. I gave people the opportunity to get college married with a proper certificate and a photo and everything. It was a proper a mass wedding essentially.
Would those be my college parents?
Some of them were, some of them weren't, but it was a very fun experience. A lot of people enjoyed it. I printed off about 50 certificates, and I married couples and some thruples even. So that's at least 100 people, married off, and yeah, a lot of people were very happy about that.
Yes. And so, do you have any favourite memories from the year as Vice President?
Favorite memories? Ooh, I'd say my favorite one was when I was running my first social with the college families. So the idea was I dressed up as Where's Wally, and then I hid in a college bar, but I didn't tell people which bar I was in. I initially went to Aiden's bar because I didn't think anyone would go there, and then after a certain time I moved and started heading towards Hatfield, and it took about 2 hours before anyone came to find me.
You must have had a good time at the bar for 2 hours.
Absolutely. No, my friend Jamie stayed with me.
Okay, yeah. You cycled with him as well, though? Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Do you have any story of an event that you planned and was not sure if it was going to go well and it went fantastically?
Well, I'll say that one actually.
Okay.
I wasn't sure how many people would show up because I was relying on their word that they would show up. And that without any skin in the game, I wasn't sure that everyone would actually come. So I was worried at the start, but gradually the bar got packed, and then I announced the rules, and then I think it worked out really, really fine.
Yeah, I remember the night. It was quite an exciting night. Yeah. So, I know you said that Harriet suggested that you run for for JCR President. Were there any other reasons that you still go back to and say, that was another reason why I decided I want to run for JCR President?
I think so. There are things I would do differently as president, and I believe that I would make a good leader. Plus, I wanted an opportunity to show off, develop and demonstrate my leadership skills.
Okay.
So, and plus I love my college. This college, it was my first choice. Not many people can say it was their first choice. It was my first choice. And I thought it was the best way for me to give back to my college community. And I'm really happy that I did. If I didn't run, no one else actually ran for president. Okay. So if I didn't run, I don't think anyone else would have.
You did run against Ron.
Oh, I did run against Ron, but that's not that doesn't really count now, does it?
Ron is a non-vote.
Reopen nomination.
Yes. No. Do you have any projects that you are working on for next year that you're kind of excited to maybe start?
Absolutely. So next year is the anniversary year of our college. Our college was formed in 2006, so that makes next year our 20th anniversary. So to celebrate the legacy of Josephine Butler herself, our namesake, I want to do a new volunteering program. This volunteering program is a partnership with a local school. A lot of colleges already do this, but we don't. We're the fourth biggest college, and we don't have any large-scale volunteering program like this. So the plan is we are going to go into a school in Durham, County Durham, that actually needs this, because the government's been giving funding for AI training for schools, but it simply isn't enough. It's only going to be there for about 30,000 primary school children. But what about the secondary school children? What about all the people who just don't go to those schools that have the funding?
Yes.
So this is our way of giving back to the local community as well. Using the skills I've developed over the course of my degree, I want to develop an AI literacy program to help students learn how to use AI responsibly, use it confidently and safely. So before they start revising for their GCSEs and A-levels, they already have the skills to do the best they can.
That sounds like a very good idea.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's necessary. It's not a good idea for the funding just to be for primary school. Secondary school needed maybe even more.
Arguably more, yes,
Yes,
definitely.
arguably more. Yes, yes. Okay. Well, I'm quite excited for next year to have you as JCR President.
Thank you,
It will
thank
be-
you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. I want to ask about your volunteering in Thailand that you did a while back.
So
Yes.
this was the educational practice I was talking about. So I
Oh, okay.
volunteered
Okay.
as an English teacher in rural Thailand. I was working in the north of Thailand, near Chiang Mai, in a really rural part called Lamphun. This was, proper jungle. Outside I could see the palm trees and everything. It was such a, a very quiet village, right?
Yes.
But I have to say that was the most peaceful 2 months of my life. Like, away from the whole world. I didn't have a worry in the world, but working with the children, I had everyone from kindergarten to age about 12. So I had a lot of students relying on me as their English teacher. Initially, because I am Asian, they thought I was Thai, so they only spoke Thai to me. So after a while, I was like, okay, I better learn Thai, a little bit of Thai, just so I can communicate, or at least say, no, I'm not Thai, no, please speak English. But that didn't last very long, so I ended up learning quite a bit of Thai just to communicate, and it really did help the lessons. Teachers need to be adaptable, and that was my ultimate show that I can be adaptable. I literally learnt a language just to communicate and make the lessons better.
Wow.
So, yeah, I thought it was really good to get the students to learn. Before I went to Thailand, I had one suitcase. I filled it up full of crisps, like Walker's crisps with the British flavours, because in Thailand they got different flavours. So we had salt and vinegar, cheese and onion, ready salted, prawn cocktail. I gave out all these as prizes to students, So every single lesson I'd say, okay, best students gets a prize, And since these students, unfortunately, they probably will never visit England, this was just a taste of England that I could give to them. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. However, sometimes the students were quite rowdy. There was one kid, his name was Santa, because he was born on Christmas. See, all the children, they had English names, because I couldn't say their Thai names. They all had English names.
Oh, so they have the Thai name and the English name.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that was Santa. He was quite a large child, and almost as big as me. And I was surprised for an 8-year-old as well.
Well, he must be a giant.
Yeah, he was giant for sure. I don't think he was actually 8, but yeah, he pushed me over once, and because all the children started laughing, he did it again. Just to, he was the class clown essentially. Of course, I wasn't going to do anything back, but
And
still,
that
it was a bit
tested
annoying.
your patience that you alluded to.
Did test my patience for sure. Let's just say he didn't get any crisps.
Did you have to do acting, as in act very angry? As I know some teachers cross the boundary from acting like you're angry to really being angry inside. How did you balance?
No, I don't
this?
think a teacher should ever really be angry.
No.
Teachers should have enough self-control. But of course I was annoyed, but I didn't let that show. If the students were misbehaving, I just take the prizes away. Simple as that.
And the prize being crisps.
The crisps,
Yes.
exactly, because it was something so novel to them, something so new. Like, all of them wanted a taste of England,
Wow.
because it was something they'd only heard about or seen on TV.
Yes. Yes. What motivated you to volunteer as a teacher?
Well, I thought it would be a good educational experience, since I do education myself. They actually, the people who organised it, they came to Freshers Fair in my first year, and they were in Maiden Castle, and they asked me, do you want to go teach in Thailand? I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I signed up, and then I didn't really do anything about it until maybe February, and then I was like, okay, I really want something to do this summer, so I signed up for it, and best decision of my life. I met such interesting people, and yeah, no regrets.
Like Santa?
No, some people also on the course as well, on the
Okay.
program, so other volunteers.
Were you the only student in the town, or the teacher only?
No,
teacher
so
in
I was
the town?
actually one of 3. The other one was from Newcastle, and the other one was from County Durham. And the one from County Durham ended up doing a master's in Durham University herself that September.
Oh wow.
So Durham's a small world.
Did they program have support structures in place for you three?
Oh, absolutely. So we had to do a whole training program and everything. So, we spent like a week with like actual proper practice and stuff. It was a properly well-designed program. And from this, I was able to earn my TESOL qualification. So teaching English as a second order language.
I see. Okay. Yes. And what was the hierarchy of the town as a community? And did whoever was leading the town, were they the people who gave you accommodation in the town?
So I actually stayed in the school.
Okay.
So I lived in the school and we used the school kitchens. However, the school kitchens, they were closed at night, so, we had to go to the same restaurant every single day.
You seem to have a problem with kitchens.
I do. But that's okay. I'm not very good a cook anyway, so I went to this kitchen.
Yes.
No, not the kitchen, this
Restaurant.
restaurant. Because I have so many allergies, I had to be super careful with Thai food.
Yes.
So I bought them a big tub of oil and a special wok just for me. Right, and I paid them as well, and I was like, all right, can you make me meals every single day using just this, not the peanut oil, because I'm allergic to peanuts?
Yes.
And they were like, yep, absolutely. So they made me Thai fried rice every single day, 3 times a day for 2 months. And I still wasn't sick of it after 2 months.
That sounds luxurious, actually.
It was pretty good. It was so fresh. I had squeezed lemon all over.
Oh,
it was
nice.
amazing. It was amazing.
Yes. Yes. How did the experience change you?
I think it made me understand what it's like to live in that kind of area. Like being so far away from the West, you really couldn't get much further from England than this. This was a rural school, a village school in Thailand. It wasn't even a town, it was a village, right? And, it just really made me appreciate, what they had and what I had, and, sometimes the best things in life are free. Do you
have an example?
Just that community.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That community that they had, and how everyone relied on each other and everyone supported each other. I feel like we don't have enough of that in the West sometimes. So, yeah, especially in cities, because everyone's so far away from each other.
Yeah. Would you take lessons from your time in Thailand into your new role as JCR President?
Some of them, yes. I think sometimes we just got to understand where people are coming from, and not everyone has the same background. Some of the kids, were from mountain tribes, so they were significantly older than their classmates, but similar literacy level and developmental level. So, I feel like it made me more sympathetic to understanding where people come from and trying to understand why they are the way they are. Other things, there's a phrase "sabai sabai" in Thailand, right?
Okay.
And sabai sabai, it just means let it be. It'll happen when it happens. It's a very relaxed mindset to have. I wouldn't take that so much for the JCR. Next year, I want to make sure everything is well planned.
Yes.
Me and George are the new factor. We are going to audit the entire college, right? All of our spending, and see what needs to be cut and what could be improved. We want to make sure that we don't have any last minute hiccups.
No. Yeah. You're going to run it well. That's the plan.
For sure.
Yes. Well, Mike Cheung, thank you so much for this exchange of ideas and stories and your experiences of the world. Thank you very much for being on the Exchange podcast with Martin Prinsley, myself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I think that's it.